Feel like it's been like a year since I did a video. No, but for real, I feel like it's been a long time. And I was actually excited about doing a video. And usually, I'll be 100% honest with you guys, most of the time, I get anxiety about doing a video because I know I have to do it. I start looking at the clock, figuring out my schedule for the day, what needs to get done, and obviously the video's on that list, you know, and I start freaking about what I'm going to talk about for that day, and it's usually a whole big ordeal. But today it was actually like, you know what, I look forward to putting a video out there today. So what today's video will bring is a story, but I want to hit on a topic which I think is interesting because during the holidays I have the opportunity to talk with people who don't understand addiction, and they don't understand the epidemic of painkillers to heroin. And I had the opportunity to talk, and it brought up an interesting topic that I've never touched on. And I know I've never touched on it because it was almost like a light bulb went off in my head where I was like, you know what? I've never thought of it this way, or how other people look at it. Okay? And what I'm speaking about is, and I'm just talking about opiates here. And, all right? And I'm not talking about every single human being who has abused opiates, become dependent on opiates, or has an addiction to opiates. I'm not speaking for everyone. But what I found interesting is when people talk about those who have an issue with opiates in general and say they get in trouble, they do something stupid that lands them with a criminal record, they go to jail, people will blame the drugs. And particularly, they will say the drugs, you know, they're just high as a kite, that's why they did that. And in most cases, that's not true, okay? Not many people are getting high on, sorry, I had a pop up. Not many people are getting high on opiates and then committing crimes, all right? It's not like that kid who had some, I don't remember what it was, if it was bath salts or PCP, and he went down to Florida. He was in Florida, frat boy, left dinner with his family, and then they found him like half hour later. He killed 2 people and was eating them. He was eating a guy's face and a guy's stomach. That particular situation, the drugs made him nuts and made him do something that he normally wouldn't do, okay? The actual high. When it comes to opiates, and this is what I had to explain to somebody, I told them that when I got in trouble with the law, it was never because I was high. It was because I knew that I was going to get sick. And it was always about me being able to keep myself from getting sick. Not so much so chasing the high, it was running from the sickness. And most people, when they're you know, causing burglaries, theft, you know, pulling dope feed moons where they'll say, yeah, if you give me your money, spot me the money, I can get you extra, and then you never hear from those people again. Stuff like that. Also, yeah, they want to get the drug. But a lot of people become desperate because they're afraid of getting sick. They're afraid of being ill. It's not the actual high that's causing them to do the drug or to commit the crime, if that makes sense. And that's what I was trying to explain to these people. It's not like when you take PCP, you rob a bank because you're high as hell, cops shoot you 9 times with a 9mm and it doesn't put you down, you keep going after them. That's because you're on PCP and you have inhuman strength and you're absolutely out of your freaking mind. Yes, you are, in a sense, possessed to do stupid shit because you're sick and your mind is sick and you need to continue to take the drug. But the actual drug is not causing you, the high rather, is not causing you to go do stupid shit. You know what I mean? And I thought that was interesting because I've never thought of it that way. I've never had a conversation with somebody where, and it came up because they were talking about a certain person. They're like, oh, they probably were high when they did it. And I was like, well, what do they usually mess around with? And they told me, I'm like, no, they weren't high when they did that. They may have been, but that's not what caused them to go do that. They probably want more of it, so they don't have the means to do it, and the reason they're getting more of it so they don't get dope sick. That's what's fueling them to commit stupid crimes and petty thefts and things like that. And they didn't really understand that. And I thought, you know what, that's pretty incredible. I've never actually had a conversation about that particular type of drive to commit a crime while you're high when it comes to opiates. And I'm sure a lot of you understand what I'm saying. And again, I'm not speaking for everyone. There are people that get high and they do dumb shit. One drug in particular that makes you do really stupid shit is alcohol. How many people do you know get drunk, blackout drunk, and do crazy stuff? I was one of those people, okay? I did stuff that I can't even share on film because it's so embarrassing. Because you wake up on people's couches you don't know that speak a completely different language that look at you like they've never seen you before, and you have no idea how the hell you got there, and they look like they want to kill you, so you get out of the house. That's kind of stuff that happens when you drink too much, all right? When it comes to opiates, though, you pretty much have an idea what's going on, okay? At least I always knew what was going on. I knew right from wrong, but I had this burning voice pushing me to say, you know, you need to go get some shit or you're going to get sick. Here's a golden opportunity to go get some stuff so you don't get messed up. You're not down for 3 days. You know what I mean? So I wanted to talk about that. I also am going to share a story because I have a lot of stories coming in, which really makes me happy. It shows that there are a lot of people watching the channel, and obviously views have skyrocketed because of this time of year, and there's a lot of people going at it, so I applaud you. Keep going. Don't make it just a New Year's thing. Take this extremely serious and take your life back. Now this story, I am allowed to use his name. His name's Matt. And he says, my name is Matt. I live in a small town south of York, Pennsylvania. I am also an addict that has been struggling for years. This is how my story goes. I'm currently 36 years old. When I was 17, I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, and I've never heard that before, which is a cancerous tumor that had attached itself to the tibia of my left leg. That, I believe the tibia is below the knee, kind of like the shin area. Don't quote me on that, though. That is about the scariest word, cancer, that anyone can hear. There was initial talk about amputating my leg, and that was devastating to myself and my parents. The first doctor that treated me said that he was going to do everything in his power to not go that route. So the first surgery was on October 15th, 1997. 20 years ago. No. Yeah, 20 years ago. A date that I will never forget. The surgery was about 14 hours, and they removed 5 inches of my left tibia right below the knee. They used a piece of donor bone along with 2 plates, 1 rod, and 12 screws to put it all back together. The best result would be that I would be able to walk again without a cane after a lot of rehab. Well, that first surgery was unsuccessful. I ended up with a staph infection that destroyed everything they had done. Now, if you don't know what a staph infection is, it's extremely dangerous, it's very painful, and it can kill you. Usually in the hospital for a good amount of time, so they can take care of the staph infection, but it's extremely dangerous. So I was sent to another doctor in the same practice to see what he could do to help. He specialized in a device that was called an Alizaroff device. Basically, a halo-type cage that bolted into the bone of my leg to support everything so they could clear up the infection. It was one hell of a contraption, but it was a proven method. Well, not to string this out, but after about 10 more operations, he was able to regenerate new bone to fill in the 5-inch gap that was created to remove the cancer. This entire process ensued until I was 21 years old. Almost 5 years of my life spent in and out of hospitals. I was so very fortunate to have wonderful parents that were there for me every second of every day. Well, as you can imagine, all those years I was on and off pain medications just as needed. But unknowingly, they had dug their claws into me so deep, like the worst demon in the world. Now I have to include that I have a family of addicts. Until this point, I never really did anything but have some drinks and smoke some weed from time to time. So all is well when I get released in 2001. I met a wonderful lady that is now my wife, and we start a family, buy a house. I go to college to get a degree in design engineering. Life is good. Well, sometime around 2013, I start having some pain in my leg, and as time goes on, it seems to get worse. Well, at this point, I kind of figure out what's going on. If I go see my doctor and I'm scared to death that I will have to face more surgery. So instead, I take the easier road and start to self-medicate by buying pills off the street. And it didn't take long to dig a hole deeper than I ever thought possible. Over the next 6 to 7 years, I pulled the same routine as everyone else. Where I am on them for a long time, then I deal with the sickness and get off for a while, then back on. Well, finally I had enough. I went cold turkey, took time off work, and just dealt with it. I was good for about a year and feeling great, and then one day, bam, I slipped and broke both bones in my bad leg. I went to my doctor, and here we go all over again. Put the cage device back on, and by now there are a lot stronger pain meds than they were offering back when I went through the first rodeo. And the cycle started all over again. I dealt with more operations and all for another 18 months or so, and surprisingly everything went pretty smooth, and he got me back to normal. Now I want to back up for a minute and state that the cage process I went through enabled me to have a fully functional leg. That don't really look great, but I have it, and I regained about 95% of all mobility. I am even able to do some light jogging when playing with the kids and dogs. So upon my release from medical care in 2010, my addiction was out of control, to the point that my wife was ready to leave me and take the kids. So once again, I fought to get off them and get my life back together. Once again, I was clean for a couple years. This time, got a new job and a few hobbies and was doing good. Like so many, I got little too comfortable and lazy in my recovery and relapsed sometime in early 2014. It just didn't take long to dig those dirty claws into me and turn me back into the person that I hate the most. All of 2015 and 2016 was the usual up and down roller coaster as many go through. I wasn't as bad as I once was, but I was still using. The last 2 months of 2016, I have really been trying to get back to the life that I had once had in sobriety and loved. I struggled, but I tried slowly taper myself down. As I was going through the struggles the last few months, I had stumbled upon your videos on YouTube. They have been such a blessing for just something to remind me that the shitty feelings and the self-hate and all that will end before I know it. The hardest thing about my addiction is that it didn't start as just me partying with my buddies. It was a necessary evil. I still have the fear that you talked about in one of your videos, that I'm going to hurt myself at some point in the future and end up down this same path again. That is such a scary thing for me because of the complexity of my situation, but that's not going to stop me from giving it my all to try and live a clean, sober life for myself and my family. You know, it's kind of funny. I don't even know you personally, and you're probably the first person that I even really told this story to. A lot of people ask me what happened when they see my leg, and I just spout out that I had a lot of surgeries and infections, and many people have no clue have had a serious addiction. It truly is something that still haunts me to this day. No one will ever know the extent of what I went through in that hospital, and the pain and endless trips in and out. It is truly something that no one should ever have to experience. They always say that God never puts more on our shoulders than we can handle, but some days I just wish the shit would stop hitting me in the head on the way down. Anyway, I would love to hear from you if you have time. You are doing a wonderful thing with reaching out and trying to help others. I just want you to know that it is working. Even if it was just one person here and there, you're making a difference. Hope to hear from you. Matt. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for writing in. I will certainly contact you back in the next few minutes after I end this video. And what's interesting is what he's saying is a big fear of a lot of people that, you know, what if something happens? What if I'm in a car accident and I need painkillers to help with whatever injury I have? And, you know, and he says it too, you can't live like that. You can't live in a what-if situation. And I used to live like that every day, not just with like addiction things, but just what if this happens? Or I'd always look at the, the negative side of something, and this could probably happen. If you live like that, you're never going to progress. You have to take chances. You have to do what you know is best for this moment now, and everything will right itself. Things will take care of themselves. Are bad things going to happen? They always do. Okay? No one lives a life perfect. But if you do the right thing every day, you're better off. You have less of a chance of doing something that's going to hurt you and your family. And when you do come upon something that is negative, you know how to combat it. Okay? When I had the pulmonary embolisms in my lung, let's say heart, in my lung, and the DVT in my leg, I was terrified because I was like, shit, they're gonna put me on drugs. And it terrified me because I thought, what if I'm going to be vulnerable afterwards? And, when they put me on the drugs while I was in the hospital, I didn't even feel them, okay? Because when you're in real, legit, horrible pain, they do their job to mask the pain enough for whatever reason they had to. And for my reason, they had to run tests. They'd put me in these giant coffins and fill my veins up with different colored dyes, and I couldn't move for like 15 minutes at a time. But when you feel like you're being stabbed, obviously you're going to squirm and everything else. So if you are given medication for a legit reason, where you are in intense pain, it's not going to take the pain all away, okay? And you're not going to get high. I didn't feel any euphoria. I still felt like hell. And that's why it was easy for me to just say, I didn't even feel like I took anything, is what I'm trying to say. Because when I used to take opiates, I got high as shit, okay? And then at the end, obviously, you need copious amounts of it just so you don't get sick. But there was a big difference in the way that it was administered in the hospital and the way that I knew them, okay? So you can't live your life the way of what if this happens, what if that happens. There's no point even getting clean because I'll probably have to have another surgery. Don't live like that. Because if that surgery never comes and you stay on these things, you may not be here to even have leg problems. Okay, so you got to weigh the way the world works. All right, so I'm glad to be back. Happy New Year, everybody. Check out some more videos. Leave some comments below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, podcast coming soon. Okay, working on some things, but I'm actually really excited about it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'll give you more information about the podcast coming soon. All right, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.